Greetings everyone, it's Melek Shalamah, and I'm going to talk about my week in the market, my past week. Just from a psychological perspective, just going to go over what was the major points and what I learned in the market this past week. So basically, the past week was disciplined trading. This was one of my most disciplined week ever, right? So basically what happened is I did not force any trades. I did not take any trades that were outside of a plus setup kind of range, right? So every trade I took was within the criteria that I set for the trades, right? Like the Black Sun strategy, the 365 strategy. And I also took a strategy that I don't usually take, which is a long continuation. It's called the Nile Banks. So it's basically like a VWAP retest, right? So I took a couple trades. Most of them kind of broke even to slight profit, right? And my last trade for the week on Friday was a 365 strategy, and that was a profitable trade. So basically, over the Apex accounts, all my Apex eval accounts, I basically churned most of the week, but then I had a nice big winner, right? I wouldn't say it was a huge winner. It was a decent winner. So that basically brings my Apex accounts to somewhat of a break-even status, right? So over this past month, I think I have until the 12th of March for the Apex accounts to renew, like the subscription to renew. So over this past month has basically been just like a churn, right? And it's basically me bringing down the volatility of swings within my P&L, right? So before I would have like wild swings, I would have like big wins. I would take too much size and have like big winners, big losses, and just be a volatile P&L, right? So now my P&L curve probably looks steady to the upside, right? So slightly break even, but steadily to the upside, right? So basically it's just capping those bad traits, right? So I have a very disciplined and very neutral outlook to the market right now. I don't believe the market owes me anything. Every time I sit in front my computer at my desk, I don't believe the market owes me a trade right now. I believe that I should be stealth and patient and wait for a setup. So more like a sniper just sitting and wait, right? And I experienced that a lot during the trading week. Now, I did a lot of overtime this week as well, so there was times that I actually did like overnight shifts, so I was actually tired and I actually did not trade, right? So that's also a discipline win for me as well, because sometimes I would come home after overnight shift and still attempt to trade, right? So you shouldn't really trade while you're tired, because your cognitive function isn't really at its best. It's not optimal, right? It's not optimal for this high frequency, high performance kind of activity of trading. So that was a big win for me as well. So basically, I won this week discipline wise. I won in patience, and I'm moving more like a professional trader. Like I'm actually operating from a business standpoint, not from a gambler standpoint. Like, I gotta make this, I gotta pass this evals, I'm not thinking like that anymore. However long it takes to pass these evals is however long it takes, right? Because sometimes what happens to traders is you see the potential of what an eval can actually do if you start getting payouts and you go live, and that distorts how you should perform as a professional trader, right? And what's good about these evals is they put extras on it, right? Like trailing drawdowns and stuff like that, which traders don't like because they want to kind of more gamble to get that money, right? So the added restrictions on evals is nothing that should upset you. It actually should encourage you to be a more professional trader, because all it means is that you should stand down more and be more disciplined, right? So from a gambler's perspective, you probably think that they're trying to keep you from getting money, right? But the trick to that is, now this could be true, right? They're trying to, like the undisciplined trader, they're gonna basically get you out of the market and get you to buy more evals and pay more subscriptions and stuff like that, right? So that is true, but from a professional standpoint, those trailing drawdowns and little rules they have about like adding to positions and certain 30%, like, you know the rules, I don't have to break them down for you, right? But those little rules, actually, if you adhere to them, you would actually lose less and compound more wins, right? Your wins would be bigger. You would compound more strategic wins instead of like windfall gains. Those, you can't sustain windfall gains because the volatility goes both ways. You will have windfall gains and windfall losses, right? So once you cap those losses, like I did this week, I took my stop outs. And another thing I did, before I go to that, you cap your stop outs, and all the stops I took was basically overrun by the last trade of the week, which put me into a slight profit, right? So all it takes right now is for me to get like my full wins, and this is a probability based kind of system, right? The more I churn is the quicker the big wins are going to come, right? It's like flipping a coin, right? So if you're in a streak of break even, disciplined, you have your edge, right? You have your edge in the market. It's break even. Those wins are going to come and supersede all of that, right? But once you cap those losers, you're good to go. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just being patient. Don't rush the market. Don't have these prop firms making you feel like you're going to be a millionaire in no time, right? I'm just going to pass these evals. I'm going to go live, and I'm just going to hammer the market with a bunch of contracts, right? It's not going to work, right? You're going to keep paying Apex and other prop firms. You're going to keep giving them money, and the money you're giving them is going to traders who are disciplined, who get the payouts and sustain payouts over multiple months, right? So if you want to get into that group, like I want to get into that group, just slow down. Be patient. It's a probabilities game. You're going to have to flow within the probabilities of your edge and let your winners pay. Let your winners pay you. You know what I'm saying? Stop rushing the market, right? And another thing I did, like on the technical side, just to wrap it up, I started, instead of having a fixed stop loss of a fixed amount, I started to place my stop losses above structure and below structure. So I'm sticking to, it depends on, like I have a 2 trade minimum for the 2 losses, right? Like if I take 2 losses, that is I'm done for the day, right? Now, if I place a trade and I put my stop below structure and that goes over a certain amount, like let's say that covers 2 losses on like a regular 3-point stop, right? So let's say I'm putting my stop now 6 points, then that's only 1 trade for the day, right? So still respecting the capital, but giving my trade a little more chance to work by respecting the structure in the market, right? So yeah, it's your boy Melek Shalamah. That was my weekly review. I'm basically It was my most disciplined week, so that was a big win for me. And yeah, just stay tuned. You'll see how I do with these Apex accounts. All right, you all trade safe, stay blessed.